know people are still joining us, but I just wanted to say welcome to our Objective Simplification webinar here at the Pinterest business community, co-hosted by Haley, who is our Pinterest technical program manager. We're super excited to have her. We have done a webinar with Haley before, so you know her, you love her. Today, what we're going to do with our Objective Simplification webinar is we're going to dive into Pinterest efforts to better match campaign objectives to your advertiser business goals. So, I'm Anna. I'm your host and your Pinterest business community manager. I appreciate you all being here. We have folks from all over joining us. I see that Jen has joined and she's taking some notes. Awesome. If you'd like to also introduce yourself in the chat, let us know where you're from. Let us know if you're new to Pinterest or if you want to learn something in particular today. We're really excited to be bringing you back to a brand new community event. So, today we're going to cover what objective simplification is, why it's important, how it works, and more. And we don't have a live Q&A session for this webinar, but please feel free to drop your questions into the Google form that I'm going to drop into the chat right now. I'll drop it again toward the end if you have any other questions and you lose the link to it. There will be a recording of this event that will be sent to you via email and will be on the Pinterest business community afterwards. So, yes, there's going to be a replay. And now I would like to introduce our presenter. Please give a warm welcome to our Pinterest technical program manager, Haley Hash.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining today. Also, huge thank you to the Pinterest business community for having me come back again. So, I'm Haley Hash, and today we are going to be talking about objective simplification. Basically, just a fancy way of saying that we're making campaign objectives a whole lot clearer, simpler, and more aligned to what you and our advertisers all actually want to achieve. Yeah, just a quick show of hands. I'm curious who has seen or used the new objectives already. You can just do a little hands up or put something in the chat if you've tried it already.
I'm virtually raising my hand.
Perfect. Awesome. So whether you're already an expert or this is the first time you have even heard of this, I think there's going to be some valuable information for everybody here. All right, so here's where we're headed today. We're going to start out with why we made this change, then walk through the new objectives, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like in Ads Manager, bulk uploading, and also in the API. So there's going to be something for everyone and information you can send your team as well. So we'll cover the mapping updates, run through some examples, then we'll wrap up with FAQs and resources. So basically, it's going to be the what, the why, the how, and the what do I need to do next. All right, so let's start with the opportunity. Previously, when creating a campaign, you had to choose between conversions and catalog sales, which didn't completely match what we heard from you about what you actually want to achieve through your business outcomes. So we heard more like, I want more purchase, I want more leads, or I want more sales. You all know advertisers focus on results, not ad formats. So when the experience was structured around formats instead of the outcomes, the path to campaign creation, it felt less intuitive than it should have. So that is why we're simplifying our objectives. We're replacing conversions and catalog sales, which will now be referred to as legacy objectives, with two more streamlined objectives, leads and sales. The other objectives like video completion, all of those are going to remain the same, and we're not going to talk about those today. But we do have lots of great information about those two in our Help Center and developer docs. So this change, it helps us move forward with format-based decision making from format-based decision making to goal-based decision making. And there's a little sneak peek of the UI on the right, but we will get more into that soon. All right, so my goal today is for you to leave this webinar feeling 100% confident with the new objectives. So I'm just going to make this super, super concrete. Leads is going to be for your non-transactional outcomes, things like signups, registrations, or lead form completions. And sales is for those transactional outcomes, things like purchases and checkout related actions. One of the biggest improvements that I'm the most excited about here is the flexibility. So now your catalogs can now be used across more objective paths instead of feeling boxed into one lane. So before it was just for the sales catalog objective, but now they can be used in consideration or sales objectives. So the setup altogether, it's simpler and the options are better aligned to that end goal. All right. So if you know me, you know that I love a good metaphor. So here's a simple way to picture this. You can think about it like ordering from a menu. Before, conversions and catalog sales were kind of like two different dishes with overlapping ingredients. You had to study the menu and think, wait, which one am I supposed to order? But now we've simplified it. You order based on what you actually want. So for the new objectives, that would be leads and sales. And while the objective is the meal, the final result you want to deliver, the ad formats, on the other hand, is more of the ingredients. So you choose based on the outcome. It's much easier. And honestly, I think there's a much less menu anxiety here. All right, so let's talk about the dates because that is really important. The general availability rollout was completed on July 20th, so maybe you've already got the opportunity to start using these. For our API users, the next date you're going to pay attention to is February 1st, 2027, and that is the cutoff for creating campaigns with legacy objectives. And then our final date here is April 30th, 2027. Campaigns that we're using those legacy objectives are going to be archived. So if you remember nothing else from this slide or even this whole presentation, um, remember this. New builds should move to leads and sales now, and legacy objective, move to leads and sales now, and legacy objective support has a clear end date. All right, 1 second. So, all right, so here is what those changes will actually look like for you. And if you're also really into metaphors, you can consider this like your box of recipes or your Pinterest board. All right, so we'll walk through what this looks like in the Ads Manager UI first. So if you're creating a new campaign, your step one is going to be create the campaign and then choose your new campaign objective. So in the example here, we're picking sales objective. Step two, if you're working in the path that supports it, so consideration or sales, you also get to choose the creative source. For example, that will be whether you use a product catalog or pins here. And in this example, you can see for our creative source, we are picking the product catalog. And step three, you finish setup as usual. Nothing else is going to change there. So here is also the nice part. If you duplicate an older campaign, the system will automatically map it to the right new objective. So the migration experience is designed to be as smooth as we could possibly make it. And yes, for anyone wondering about bulk workflows, the bulk editor supports this too. Just update the objective and creative source columns accordingly. This will basically just be updating column B with the new campaign objective and column C with the creative source. The rest of the bulk sheet will be exactly like it was before. All right, and now for our API audience. To start, this migration is backward compatible, so existing campaigns can continue running for now. So this is not a drop everything emergency necessarily. Your next steps are really just four things to pay attention to here. So first, you want to start testing campaign creation with the new leads and sales objectives. This is also the perfect opportunity to use our sandbox environment. Then update your ingestion and downstream systems to account for that intended promotion type. Then map your creative source to our intended promotion type flag. So it's really just one extra parameter to juggle there. And finally, step four is don't forget to update your reporting. Since we're retiring those legacy objective names, your dashboards and automated reports will need to be adjusted to pull data using the new leads and sales parameters. And just make sure your team updates those queries now so your data stays consistent and you don't end up with the missing data surprise after we sunset the legacy system next year. Um, Now, for the don't panic, but also don't procrastinate part, is you've got a long runway until February 1st, 2027, to move away from those legacy objectives if you're our API advertisers. Um, until that final archival date of April 30th, 2027. And that is plenty of time, but please don't save this for the last minute. Let's start testing it now, getting it shipped so we can all sleep better when April 2027 rolls around. All right, so we've covered the what and the when, but let's talk about the how, specifically how the API payload changes. I know that reading API documentation is probably the highlight of your day, so I'm going to keep this brief. Don't want to keep all the fun to myself, but your two key parameters are going to be first, the objective type that we've been talking about. This is your new home for those sales and leads objectives. Um, Second is the intended promotion type. This is where you will select either the standard ad or catalog. It's basically your way of telling the system, hey, I'm using pens today, or it's catalog time. So, one final save your sanity rule on that before I move on is the objective fields are only editable when the campaign's in draft status. So, if you're trying to patch an active campaign getting errors, that's why set it in draft, make your changes, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, please remember to check those endpoints, update the parameters, and keep your campaigns running smoothly. All right, so enough abstract. We'll look at the main event here. This is the actual JSON payload you've been waiting for. Our objective type and new intended promotion type parameters are highlighted right there. And I will, again, we'll share all of these resources at the end so you have these examples to look back at anytime you need. And finally, the best part, it's the 200 API response. You'll also see a response body, something like this. If that's what you see, amazing, and you've successfully created your campaign, you're all good to go. But if you get some kind of an error instead, do not panic. Just grab that error code, double check your syntax, and you can get back on track in no time. If you're truly stuck, please reach out to us for help. We've got your back. And I'll talk a little bit more about how to get support at the end of this. All right. Thank you, developers. We're going to get back to the whole audience now. So, I know this is a section that a lot of people might actually care about the most, how that mapping actually works. So I know that looking at mapping charts can sometimes feel like you might be trying to decipher like an ancient code, but I'm going to demystify it here. So when you're looking at this, like understand that we are organizing by intent here. So we'll start looking at these mappings. For example, if previously you were running catalog sales objective campaigns on pin clicks, that will now be under the consideration objective with the product catalog as your creative source. Or if you were optimizing for those big purchases and you're moving into the streamlined sale objective, also picking the product catalog as your creative source. And if your goal is signups, registrations, form fills, you are going to be heading straight into the leads objective. And if your goal was transactional conversions, that's going to be the sales objective with the creative source being pins. All right, so here on the slide, feel free to take a screenshot, bookmark this when we send it out later, or you can print it out, put it up on your wall, whatever you want to get that mapping down. And yeah, just consider this your official cheat sheet for every new campaign build from here on. All right, so on the last slide, we were talking about transactional and non-transactional events. In case anyone needs a quick refresher on what those are, and which event would belong into which category of that. This looks like a long list, but it is actually really intuitive. So on the left, we have the transactional events. If an event indicates that a user is completing a purchase or moving through the checkout flow, like add to cart or add payment info, that will map directly to the sales objective. Um, and on the right, we have the non-transactional events. These are centered more around relationship building, like lead generation, sign up, subscribes, and scheduling. And those will map to leads objective. Both of these also include any custom events you might be using, map to any of the above category. All right, so just a tiny little pop quiz. Let's put that knowledge to the test. If your business director comes up to you and says, we need to drive newsletter signups, which objective are you reaching for? You can think back to the last slides. Is money changing hands or are we building a relationship? So we can take a few seconds to either commit to an answer in your head or if you are feeling really bold, put it in the chat. And let's give a couple of seconds of silence here so we can think. All right. So let's see if you're right. If you were thinking leads, you've got it. You can give yourself a gold star since newsletter signups are about building that connection, not processing a payment. It maps perfectly to the leads objective. And then your creative source, if you are also thinking about that, it's just pins by default since only the consideration and sales lets you optionally select the product catalog. All right, so yeah, we've made it to the FAQs now. Maybe some of these questions are already floating around in your head, but another great page to save and use as a quick reference as you actually start trying these out more and getting used to them. So I'll just read through them. Let's start with, do I have to use the new objectives? Yes, as of the rollout time for Ads Manager, and that was completed on July 20th. Or if you're using the Pinterest API, new campaigns can use new or legacy objectives due to that backward compatibility that we talked about. But starting on February 1st of 2027, new campaigns must use the new objectives. Next, will relaunching existing campaigns impact performance? So we recommend launching the new campaigns alongside the legacy campaigns before the archival date, and then slowly move the budget over from the legacy campaign to the new campaign until it is fully migrated. And will this impact my performance? And there gladly is no performance impact expected. And can I edit campaigns that use legacy objectives? Yes, you can still edit those campaigns until the archival date of April 30th, 2027. We covered this through the mapping and pop quiz, but which conversion actions correspond to which objectives? So leads would be sign up and leads, and sales is add to cart and checkout. Um, and yeah, you can refer, of course, back to that reference slide. And also our documentation has the full amount of your event types. So last one, if I promote my catalog, which objective do I use? You can use either the consideration or sales objective and select the product catalog as your creative source. All right. So now resources. You've got the theory. So these are the tools to get it done. I've linked our two-pager for a quick recap, as well as the full technical docs for those more deep dives. There are also lots of great general information there about campaign setups and APIs if you need any sort of refresher on anything. If you can't find the documentation you're looking for, like please reach out. Always happy to share that. Um, and also, if you haven't, please join our business community and developer channel, and we would love to see you there. All right, so here is the I need an assist slide or that support slide that I referenced earlier. If you were running into any sort of roadblock, we've got you covered. So if you get stuck, you will head over to our help center in the Get More Help section. So whether you are knee deep in API code or you are setting up a campaign in Ads Manager, you'll just pick your category in our help center, fill out the details, and our team will be on the case to get you all sorted out. We've got your back, and we want to make this as smooth as possible. There's really no question like too small, so please do reach out. Um, Great. Now that brings us to the end of the session. I really hope that this helps you navigate our new objective menu with total confidence. We're really excited to see you all start building with these new streamlined tools. Thank you again for your time and your curiosity and being such an awesome part of our community. Go forth and create, and to borrow from our metaphor from earlier, bon appetit.
Um, Thank you. I know we've been planning for this, and I think the one thing that people don't understand, I think quite yet, is how important this is. So, if you were here today and you're like, yeah, this was interesting, um, this will be shared on the PBC and then in your email if you were here today, and then also. I think if you go on to the developer's site and ask questions from here on out, this will pop up this webinar because this is going to be something that you will be utilizing. February and April are going to come quicker than you think. So, um, I also have the one pagers that I'm going to share the links that we had in our slide this resources slide. I'm going to share them on the PBC as well in our wrap up post that I'm going to have being shared on the Pinterest business community later on today. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. We really hope that you found this event helpful, and we look forward to covering more topics on events or covering more topics like this in future events. So if you have any questions, since we're not doing a live Q&A today, please drop your questions into the Google form that I dropped in earlier in the chat. And then also, I'm going to drop a link to the PBC one more time right now, just so that if you have not visited us yet and you would like to see our recap later on, check out those one pagers. That is in the chat right now, and we really appreciate it. And we're going to be sending out a survey in your email. So, let Haley know how much you liked her metaphors, because without the food metaphor, I don't think I would have understood. And I spend every day here. So thank you so much, Haley. And yeah, we'll see you folks soon.